Hello.
I was hoping you'd say that.
How are you?
Never felt better, never had more. So, where are we at now?
Um, we
Are
received
you
the most
cleaning out
recent
coin
counter.
boxes?
You got it.
I
Gotta
know what
collect my
that
money.
I know what that sounds like.
Yeah.
Talk to me about cash for
Gotta
a
go
minute.
have some
What's
weekend
it
fun.
like? You like Scarface?
Exactly. I gotta get a bigger house to stack up all the cash.
You just
Oh no,
moved
that's
into
low,
it.
isn't it?
You just moved into a bigger house.
You're right.
Go big or go home.
Money's been good. You got it. At the new location, potentially, they have countered several times that changing the details, but not really giving us anything. Just going back and forth between, they want a high number, then they want CPI, then they took off CPI and came down a little bit from the high number, but went up from the other number.
Well, for
Then the
those
latest one,
watching at home, we're not going to do consumer price index increases because that's ridiculous, especially when all markets are crashing and the only thing, watches and gold, are the only thing that are going to be solid, and laundromats. 3% is standard. They were asking for 5. I know there's been a lot of back and forth. And also they email me and they don't CC you, which is just, that's an aside to all this, but it's a little bit rubish. If you know what you're doing, you understand we need to copy all parties involved. But from the get-go, this has been a good deal. So remind me, you know me, I'm a steel trap when it comes to numbers and comic books, but the store is still operating or it's not?
no, this one is closed. They originally wanted a pretty good number at $1.30 a square foot, and the broker was like, "Well, you could offer less."
That's
so
right.
We did.
Luciano, nice enough guy, and that call's on the YouTube machine somewhere. And now the LOI was never signed, which doesn't mean anything. It's like a Foursquare when you buy a car. They slide that piece of paper in front of you and say, sign here, but it's not a real thing. It's just a mental aptitude test, if you will. And bottom line, I mean, we have a casual relationship with this guy. It's not a business relationship until you walk in there and sign the thing. They sent over the lease. Did they draft the lease yet?
No lease drafted. Originally, they countered by just marking up my LOI, and then after the first one, then they started sending over their own LOI, redrafting a brand new LOI each time they counter.
So hit me with the high points. What do we need to hammer out here? What's the lease rate is decided, yes?
Basically, yeah.
If I remember,
we're both satisfied at $1.30.
Okay, which is absolutely fan-frickin-tastic. So that's decided. All we're battling here is the abatement period, the free rent you're going to get, and the increases. Am I right?
And the increase. Yeah. So their very last counter was 6 months of abatement, which is kind of where they started at. They haven't given anything there. And then the last one was a CPI increase within the window of 3 to 5%.
We better hurry because my wife wants to go to lunch.
Okay. Minimum 3%, maximum 5%, tied to CPI, which that's going to be 5% for
3% is standard. This is so silly. The difference between 3 and 5% is $100 a month, so it doesn't really matter. And we're not going to tie anything. We want this to be solid. And again, they've been a bit rubish about things, so it doesn't make sense. It needs to be 3%. We don't need 2.5. We don't need 1. Some people don't ask for increases at all. And we're going to ask them to draft a lease, and my guess is it's going to come over and it's going to be 7 pages. And of course, they're going to ask for a lease deposit. They're going to ask for first and last or whatever ridiculous. That is to come. And I think we've done enough of these that you understand. I'm not going to say to the guy now, well, we're not going to pay a deposit. You never do that, because they are so emotionally invested in this deal that once they send the lease over, that's when they ask for that deposit, whatever it is, that's when we call up and say, hey, this is funny, this is your boilerplate lease, so just scratch that deposit. You notice how we haven't even talked about it. And then they say, well, it's standard. We always get a deposit from our... Well, not from us. We need to spend that money on equipment. Easy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The increases are nothing. The most important thing is the free rent. So you're breathing the clean air, and I'm going to hit them hard. Hey, getting this equipment in here, not easy. You've got a good relationship with your distributor. And what I'm finding now, guys like you that have some stores, your distributor, as soon as you have this lease locked down, they'll say, you know what, we can get you the equipment in a month. And you're like, how's that possible? Because maybe they've got another guy that's got 10 stores or more, and his equipment's on a slow boat from China, Wisconsin, and they'll give you the equipment in order to get your business. It's working well. There's going to be a glut in this market like anything, because everyone's over ordering. Everyone's trying to fill their warehouses with equipment. So we shall see. But as you know, we don't make that call quite yet. The timeline on this is very important. You have to get the lease first. Distributors, they'll even try to steal the store from you. All right, without further ado, by the way, I texted him a while ago and I said, hey, let's get this thing hammered out. And of course, I said, text me when you have time. What do you think he did? He called me. Follow the instructions, sir. Luciano, nice guy, a little Italian back and forth. Their last offer was what on free rent? How long?
6 months.
And you don't want that. I mean, they're going to give you 3% in 8 months.
If I had to pick one or other, Danny, honestly, I'd rather take the 6 months. 8 would be nice. I'm sure that you can work it out, but I want that locked in at a 3% increase, because it won't matter this month, it won't matter this year, it won't matter next year, but out 25 years from now, it makes a sizable difference.
Of course,
a couple $1,000 a month.
They're looking at 3% monthly, yearly increases. Correct? That's how it's written.
No, their last one, it's still tied to CPI, but it's a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5.
No.
I just want to just lock it in at 3%.
Yeah, of course. Then you have a fixed rate. It's the same as a mortgage. People have those. Okay. And you get that excitement, you get the butterflies. I mean, it's just you and I talking now, but as soon as we call, when we hang up, I'll talk to you about that. Try to keep in mind what it's like having to listen and having somebody else do the dirty work. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to have somebody do this for me, if you know what I mean. But
yeah,
kind of keep that in the fore. People get really excited, especially their first ever landlord call, that they're like, their heart's palpitating. It's funny. They're like, that was amazing. I'm like, well, nothing really happened, but it's like the most amazing reality show ever. All right, let's call Louis, and I'm going to say 3% in 8 months, and let's just draft a frickin' lease. There's nothing else that I'm missing, correct?
Nope, it's just those 2 items.
Give me some ammunition here. How long has this place been closed down?
I know it's been closed down a year, but I think it's been longer than that.
So at the bare minimum, it's been closed for 12 months, and they're arguing over abatement. See, that's exactly why it should be 12. I'm going to give this guy hell. Here we go.
Also, they've cycled through. When I talked to the barber next door, he said that he'd been in business. I want to say it's been a while since the conversation, but maybe 5 years he's been in business, and he says that they've just cycled through tenants there, and everybody tries to make it work, but it's 30-year-old equipment.
The equipment is still in there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's it's old 30-year-old equipment.
I'm looking at the picture, the 4-load, 3-load, and that's the thing. They're playing a game. We're not rolling any dice. We're not playing any game. We know precisely what we're doing. All right, my prediction is I'm going to get this done in 4 minutes because it's lunchtime. Shelly's tapping her foot. It's always something, dude. All right, guys. Like and subscribe. I'm starting to say that when the phone rings. Do it now so you don't miss these lives.
Hey, Danny.
Lucky Luciano.
Yeah, now that...
Let's get this thing done. What do you say?
Huh?
Let's get this lease done.
Yeah, let's have it done. And
look,
I'm dealing with so many obstacles, whatever. I'm so tired to work on this.
What do you mean? What obstacles?
Well, all the back and forth, whatever. They just want to play like kids.
Well,
it should be done a long time ago.
I get it. Your conglomeration. Isn't it Grit that owns the place, or does she have other partners?
She does have another partner.
Well, that's where it gets convoluted. Always.
Yes, I hate to be like a ping pong ball between both of them. One say yes, another say no.
Well, here's what. Stop me if any of these are not true facts. The place has been closed for well over 12 months. Previously, look, we do our due diligence. That's a corporate word, and my word is investigations. Right? We do our homework.
Yeah.
To be more gritty about it. So we spoke to the barber next door. We can see the LLCs that have come and gone in this location. The problem is you're churning what Grit and them are doing, and they're kind of like, oh, we don't really like laundromats. We don't really want a laundromat here, but the infrastructure, the equipment's there. I know, trust me. But the difference is all these knuckleheads, these previous operators have been dipping their toe in the water. They've been trying to sort of kind of run a laundromat, and that's not us. I think you know that. The moment we sign this lease, we're going to bring in Hips and Speed Queen and Wascomat and ADC and Dexter and Continental Gerbeau. All of them will be coming in and trying to get the business on the new equipment. And of course, we've got, I don't know if you've tried to buy a refrigerator or, God forbid, a car in the last year, but yeah, I don't even need to.
Trust me, I'm working with a bunch of idiots around me, just people without common sense. Fuck, I'm just. What's
my grandmother? My grandmother used to say, "Stunats." There you go. I know
They try to be picky. They were so desperate, whatever, even ready to sell that place or whatever, just get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, they want to sell the building.
Anybody. Yeah.
Okay. They're going to sell the building in a year with a beautiful, bright, fantastic laundromat in place with shiny new stainless steel equipment and an attendant rolling around in roller skates with a bikini on. And then a potential investor comes and look, well, we don't really do that.
I'll move close to that.
Here's what we have. We've got a $1.30 rate, which in the beginning, that's the most important thing. And I remember verbatim. I don't need notes to remember these things. It's important. That was your ask, and we're giving it to you. Now, we don't do CPI increases because I don't want an adjustable rate mortgage on an investment property either. I want to know where my ducks where my ducks will be. I don't know why that's even a thing. So 3% is standard. I'm not going to try to beat you up on the 3% and say 2.5. It's moot until we're at the end of the 15-year term. You want to tack another 5-year option on? I don't care because it's money in the bank. We need 8 months of abatement and we need 3% increases. Just say yes to that and draft the lease. Do you have the authority to say yes to those two things?
I don't have the last word. It's both of them. But what I can tell you, push your way and you'll get it. Because they play poker now. So
yeah, but they're not. Nobody's playing poker. You're you're on their side, but really you're our mouthpiece.
No. Look, Danny.
No, I'm agreeing. I'm saying that's the way it is.
Smart people's side. I'm on a common sense side, and I see them. Whatever, they were so desperate, and finally they found somebody who's professional. They would improve their overall plaza and building and businesses around.
Right.
And now they try to play games and be picky. They were so desperate to get some income from that space.
Yeah.
And now they're fucking playing tough. And
well, look, dude, we've been doing this back and forth since February.
Yeah.
So there's 4 months right there. You'd be closer to collecting rent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree.
I don't want to send another email or put another LOI together. We've got everything else hammered out. They're not throwing any money at this space. It's going to be $500,000 without breaking a sweat. 3%, 8 months abatement.
Okay. 3%, CPI 3%.
3% increases. And you've already said yes to that, but then it's kind of like, well, if we give them X amount of months free, you understand, 8 months into this, we're going to go in and try to run this store the way that it is. We're going to retool once the equipment comes in. We'll have to look at it and see. This place is a ghost town. The most important thing in laundromats, do you know what it is?
No, probably traffic. I mean,
no, it's the customer. You know,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
hear McDonald's talk about customers. They make a horrible product and they sell billions. You're going to see, day one, we want to start to allow these folks to understand, hey, your neighborhood laundry is coming back, and it's coming back with a vengeance. We do that through Facebook ads. We do that through a new Facebook page for the store. We do coat drives in the wintertime. We do barbecues in the summer. And this is going to be a very, very different yacht club, and all these boats will rise with that tide. So I asked again, you said yes. Do you have to go fight with them for 3% in 8 months?
I will.
I just want to get, why don't we call Grit? Why don't you call her and get her on the phone, and I'll beat her up.
Oh, she's right here because she was gone for a few days. If you want me, let me go. Let me step in.
Speakerphone me up.
Yeah. Be tough. Greek. Danny is on the phone with me. He would like to speak with you. Danny, the laundry guy.
Oh, okay.
Danny?
Ciao.
Okay. Greek is here.
Hey, Danny.
Grit, how are you, my friend?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic. Never felt better, never had more. Where have you been? Vacationing?
No. The channel has been working with you, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He just said you were out. All right, so we are. I want to get this thing done on this phone call. So there's been a little back and forth. The facts are simple. You know, this place has been closed for well over, I don't know how much longer than a year, but over 12 months. No income for you, obviously. All of the consumers have left, and it's a funny thing with laundromats. They've found other service centers. You know, no one stacks their laundry in their closet waiting for this laundromat to reopen. So it's going to be a hard-fought battle to bring them back. And the other issue is retooling this store with new equipment. We talked about that. You know, it's not the way it was 5 years ago, like anything. I mean, I'm not buying new cars. I'm certainly not out there buying a washer dryer set for my home because you can't get the parts. The parts come from China, and there's a huge issue. What we have, your ask was $1.30 a square foot, and we're giving you that ask. That's the most important thing. Now, the increases and the rent abatement, the free rent, is the only thing we're hung up on. And that's simple. 3% increases is standard. We don't want to do CPI because any more than a fixed rate mortgage, you know, I don't want to get into the weeds. We have to know where we are at and plot out our rent for the next 15 years. So if you can say yes to 3% increases.
No, I can't do that, Danny. That's like, I mean, come on. You know that, the CPI, I mean, even with the 5%, I was surprised he would give you a 5%. I would have never given you a 5%. We all know that actually every year.
I'm completely confused. 3% is standard increases, whether it's a Starbucks or a London.
That's like 20 years ago when your inflation was not at 7%. I mean, you're coming with old numbers. The landlord is giving you, I think he maxed it at a 5, Luciano. That's a deal for you. Your inflation is going to be much higher than. If he agreed, I would not have given you the cap of 5. I would have left it open. But he's saying he's giving you a 5%, which is really a deal. You follow me, right?
Who are you referring to when you say he? I thought that you were one of the partners.
Well, we do the management, so it doesn't matter who we do the management. We're talking these numbers, so I just need you to follow the numbers. So look at the CPI, look at what's been, and we're going a much higher. So if you take the 5%, you're going to be
Forbes magazine. I'm just pulling up an article right now. Forbes magazine. The state law limits rent hikes to 5%.
No, perfectly. Yeah, then you need to look at your AB 1482. I don't think that's even relevant for your commercial.
Okay, so what we're doing is arguing, and that's not my point here. What you have is a laundromat. Let's back up. We're looking to spend well over $500,000 in washers, dryers. You're not putting any TI money into the location. We're handling all of that. If you want
Danny, and you know what? And sorry, I just want to jump in because I'm working also on something else, So really, that's all good. We understand that that's great. That's why you got the $1.30. But if you ask me to, they're not going to agree to that. They're not. They're already going below than CPI.
Who is they?
Okay, well, the management.
Well, so, I thought you were an owner.
If you ask someone to give you a rent increase below the CPI, which you are doing right now, then you are very lucky, and they agreed to 5% cap.
Can we get one thing out of the way, because I'm extremely confused. What is your role in this building?
Okay, we are the management.
So now it's we and not they. Hold on. Are you one of the partners and you own this building?
Okay, Danny, we are representing the owner. So if I say they is the investor, it doesn't matter if it's one person, if it's a group of people, it does not matter.
It does matter to me. Okay, so I understand that perhaps you want Luciano to be the go-between, but I'm trying to understand something bigger. I don't act like a typical tenant because we are not typical tenants. This is a massive front-loaded investment for us because it's a coin laundry. It's different than a restaurant. It's different than a dollar store because of that equipment. And we have decided we're going to move forward with the space. We're going to retool at least once during this lease. That's why we need 15 years. The folks you've had in this store have been a bit of a joke. You've churned through other operators. They tried to run the store the way that it was with this old equipment. That's not us. So I hear you saying that the CPI, et cetera, 3%, again, is standard. And I do that.
No, why would you say where you get that from, Danny? Not sure where you get that
from. How many articles do you want me to send you regarding what is standard?
I don't know where you get 3% standard. I mean, I've been writing leases for 30 years. We have CPI increases as standard.
Are you a partner in this building?
The CPI increases.
Are you personally a partner in the building?
We're doing the management for the owner.
Okay, so you don't own any portion of this building.
And Danny, even if I would, I wouldn't disclose it because
I don't understand why I can't. It was my understanding you were the landlord, so you're not. You work for the landlord.
We work for the landlord, absolutely. We do the management.
Understood.
Okay.
This entire time, Grit, my apologies. The whole time I thought that you were part of the real estate investment trust, or you yourself were one of the owners. I thought that you had a personal vested interest in the way that this works. So we've done a lot of back and forth. We're now hung up on what is a few $100s every year in rental increases. And so you're saying no.
You're asking actually, you realize the CPI increase.
You keep saying those words. I'm not going to go in with a potential. So you're saying 5% is as low as you will go. No CPI. It's going to be a standard fixed 5% increase.
But you don't really want to do that, Danny, because if you in 9 years, I mean, look at
I keep
your
asking
history.
you, what are you offering on increases? You're saying that it's going to be based on CPI?
I'm telling you the landlord is giving you a max of 5%. I'm telling you for the next 5 to 7 years.
Okay, so what? No. Okay, so what's the minimum? Where are we starting?
3%.
Okay, 3% based on CPI, and what's CPI current today on the 3rd?
It's not. I mean,
you don't know.
I don't know what it's daily. I don't know what's daily.
I can
tell you last month. Hold on a minute.
Okay, what was it last month?
Well, last month it was 7 point something in the Los Angeles region.
Mm-hmm. The Los Angeles region. Well, I've got stores in 3 states, so it's more about that. Do you want a good, well-run laundromat in this location? Another yes or no question.
That's why they're already giving you a max of
Grit,
5.
I love you. I'm going to take a course from you. I'm asking yes or no questions. Do you want a good laundromat here?
We want a tenant, yeah.
We are your best bet. We are the operators. We're not going to sell the store. We're not a distributor that's going to try to plug another.
We have a CPI right now of already 7%. You all know how.
Okay, if we do 3 to 5, 5 is the max, then we need 12 months of rent abatement.
Nah, that's ridiculous now.
Nah, no. You see, you're forcing us to run the store. Great. Let me ask another. This is a very personal question. When's the last time you bought a refrigerator or a washer dryer for your home?
Well, it really doesn't matter.
It really does matter because when's the last time you put gas in your car?
We are exactly, and that's why you have to realize if they max your CPI, your annual end increase.
Why are we back to that? We're talking about rent abatement now. We're off of that. I'm going to give you your. Okay, I'm going to put everything in writing because we're going to talk over each other. I'll put everything in writing. When was the last time that you purchased a major appliance or a vehicle?
Okay, we do it daily. So, however, you're going back to rent abatement. So why don't you just, it's like, are we going to renegotiate this like on a daily basis? Or are we knowing what we're doing here? I think I'm feeling like I'm wasting time.
Who you have on the telephone is the best plausible long-term operator for a laundromat. And I'm repeating myself now. You're not doing best by, you work for the landlord and you're not doing best by them. So I'll put everything in writing and we will fire. Oh, absolutely. Let me talk to Louis.
You talk Louis? Luciano?
Luciano.
Yeah, okay, 1 second.
Hey, Danny.
I understand now exactly what you were saying that you have to deal with on a continuing basis. And I hope she's listening in because this is preposterous. We're going to put everything in writing, precisely what we need. I don't do more than 3% increases. And you guys have been sitting on your hands for 6 months, for 12 months on this spot. And now you've got someone who, look, you should vanilla the spot, blow it out, get rid of the equipment, and pour the concrete troughs back and try to get an optometrist in there. Just have more inventory. You've got inventory all over LA, and here we are fighting with. Let's back up one more time. Why do I want? Pardon me, I don't. Why am I intrigued by this space? Do you know?
Because you feel like it's a good business spot. It's going to be profitable for you.
Sure, sort of.
And
That's not it. Why are Joe and I interested in this location? It's not the old adage about location, location, location. Not at all. Why are we interested in this spot? I just want to see if you know. Because I want to go back to the dawn of time in this whole deal, because there's been so much back and forth, and start over. Why do we want this? Why are we interested by this spot?
Well, for sure, everything and everybody's about money. So you think it's a great potential of income.
Okay. We're kind of talking in general. Yeah, I like you, dude. Yeah. I know that you're on our side. Here's the thing. It's a one-word answer. Mm-hmm. I don't build laundromats. That's a recipe for disaster. I don't buy laundromats. They're for sale all over LA County. And then, again, not the way we work. I don't want to give somebody cash for their failed business. This place has failed again and again and again. Here's the answer. Yeah. We are interested in this spot because of the infrastructure. That's it. The gas, water, and electric is there. And you and your group are still sitting on a closed laundromat with the equipment in place for the very same reason. Because the gas, water, this gal's trying to get my dander up or whatever else, about 3%. This is the smallest of the issues. If you want 5% increases in 12 months abatement, we're going to end up at year 15 with an additional $1,000 a month. So I'm literally looking up Forbes magazine right now and seeing what the true standards are. Two people on a street corner arguing. If one of them's nuts, it's hard to tell for a bystander which one it is. It's something like that. I don't know what that is. It sounds better in Italian. But I thought Danny, she was the landlord the whole time, so I was
She is, Danny, she is. I mean, Paul is the other owner of the company, and they're both investors in this management company.
Okay, well, she wouldn't cop to that.
But she don't want to tell you. I don't know why the fuck she's hiding.
Why would I want to do business with anyone that lies to me?
I don't know.
I asked her point blank. See, this is the thing, man. We've never broken bread together, my brother, but that's a big difference for me. When we shake hands, sign this lease, break bread together, all these are steps. And when somebody lies to me, especially in business, we're going to put in writing what we need, and it's going to be precisely what we need. Cooler heads need to prevail in this deal. I asked her point blank 2 questions. She wouldn't answer either one. It seems really weird. But I hear what you're saying. Yes, sir. Yeah.
They don't have anybody else. Just keep your position and push it.
Okay.
I hope they're going to give up.
3% increases and 8 months abatement, because we need to start ordering equipment.
Yeah.
That's it.
Why don't you ask her, say, okay, I know you work for Calvo Group. May I speak with Mr. Calvo?
You want me to get back on the phone with her and kiss her ass? I'll do that.
No, you don't have to, because she's very, very sneaky. Don't. You just deal with Paul.
Deal with Paul.
Yeah, deal with Paul. He's much easier. He's a man. He's not this bitchy attitude.
Luciano.
Because I'm not going to stay here with these guys.
Capisco. Capiche. We're going to send an email. We're going to do 3% increases. It's a 15-year lease. $1.30, 8 months abatement. We'll put it in writing, and that's it. We're done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ciao. Talk to you soon.
Ciao.
Addio.
Ciao, then.
Wow, that was. So remember what I said when before I called him, and I asked you to sort of keep in mind what goes on in your head while that is happening. What were you thinking?
I wanted to jump in and talk over you, talking over her, talking over you.
I almost felt the same way. It's funny because I know you understand all of this better than most. Look, some of my clients are they can't put a congruent sentence together, and they've never done this, so you have that experience. But if you could jump in at any point, it's like, what was the point? She won't answer a yes or no question.
No, she won't.
We went off the CPI 5%. I'm literally looking, dude. Is she going to read the magazines? 3% is standard, period. She's telling me about LA. I love when they talk about LA because then as experts in laundromats, I can go back to laundromats because she knows nothing about laundromats. Nothing. But she got pissed.
Yeah.
She got pissed.
So here's the thing, though. When, she's been writing, she said she's been writing commercial leases with CPI for the last 30 years. So she understands that for the last 30 years, she's been fucking people with those minimum increases for this period, that when it hits the top side of that window, she's going to have a much higher base.
Absolutely.
If it's going to be CPI, which we wouldn't do anyways, but if it's going to be CPI, you're not going to have those windows, so that even when CPI is next to nothing, you're still getting that 3%, or how they wanted it originally, a minimum of 5%.
Right. Minimum, min-max. Look, I don't know if this is a good analogy. I'm a competition shooter. It's what I love to do with my 19-year-old, and so we shoot we'll have stages where most of the paper that we shoot need to be engaged with 2 rounds. Boom, 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 boom. And they'll have a stage where the stage description says 1 round each. It's min-max, so you can shoot it once, and you get the best points, if that makes sense. Well, you see guys going bang, 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 putting 1 round on all that paper. It's faster to shoot it twice because that is what is ingrained in us. That's what we do. For her, the fastest way to get more and more dollars in the bank is to charge everybody CPI plus. You're right. I don't know if that's a good analogy.
Right. You're right, but
I'm always right.
She's not right.
But what was really funny is, I think a deeper psychological aspect of this, when Luciano and I have never met, I think her accent's Russian, not Italian, but he gets on, he's like, Danny, he's whispering to me, this is what you're going to do. Deal with Paul. When he's saying that all this back and forth is driving him nuts, it's this. So we need to stick to our gun. Yeah. And he also said, just like when he said, ask for a little less, now he's saying, stick to your guns. I mean, why not 4? Yeah. Isn't that the way this works? Is you have 4%, we need, I'm tired. This is, I think I'd rather dig ditches some days, because your head hits the pillow at night and you're out, and it's just verbal banter. And this isn't bad, I think that both of us were on the edge of saying, F you, have a nice day, good luck. But they want us more than we need them. And when I asked him, why are we even doing this? He's like, oh, it's a good business and you like the location. No, you don't get it. We're only after it because of the infrastructure that's there. Well, I'm earning my supper. Here's what I think you do. You go back, you say we can rewrite the LOI.
It's literally the exact same thing that I sent them last week.
Yeah.
3%, 8 months is exactly what I sent them.
Okay.
So I'm just going to change the dates and resend.
I'm literally looking at Google, and I'm finding the fact that she's nuts. And for those that don't know, this is like an adjustable rate mortgage. Can you imagine signing an adjustable rate mortgage right now? You would, no. Oh my God, no. We've got coming out of a pandemic, if we even are, the next pandemic, an election. We've got the supply chain, which is preposterous. This country is so reliant on foreign goods. Then we've got, I'm not being political here, we've got people cutting down pipelines and destroying relationships with Saudi Arabia. And this country has enough oil, gas in order to be self-sufficient. And instead, we're in an implosion process. And she's saying, let's go off CPI because she's seeing dollar signs. That's all it is. You're going to make a ton of frickin' money with this laundromat. But at some point you have to say, no, we're not going to play this game. Because once you sign this lease, you'll never deal with these people again.
Yeah. That's correct. Do you want me to include the phrase last and final? Best and final?
Never. Or that's a good thing to bring up. There are standards in negotiating, and one of those is you never say this is my final offer. Never.
Yeah.
But what we will do, and this is a standard for me, is send that, put it in writing, and leave it alone. Because then when they call us back, when Luciano, the nice guy, texts us or calls, we know it's over. We know we got him.
Okay. All right. I'm going to change the dates, shoot that over to him, and then the waiting game is on.
Who's Paul? Are we seeing Paul in these email threads?
Paul, I haven't seen him in any email thread, but Paul Calvo is the owner of the brokerage.
Okay.
His name's all over it. Like if you actually Google the brokerage, his name's all over that.
Here's what, go to the website and find his email and CC him as well.
Okay.
Or LinkedIn. It shouldn't be hard to find. The guy's not in the CIA. All right, dude. I think you understand better than most that I get very passionate about this. This is not a job for me. I'm not going in and selling wireless minutes. You know, it's really, really important to me that this gets done properly for you. And I know that you understand that. I've helped my clients, my students, walk away from far, far more deals than we sign. And the folks that are having their tails waving in the wind, that are interested in laundromats, that go out and find a store for sale and buy the store for sale, they're upside down from day one. They're destroyed, and that ain't gonna be you.
You know, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but it ties into what you just said, is that anybody who talks about that, oh, you know, nothing's free, blah, 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 blah. And then you so often talk about, well, why are you going to give a failed business owner any money for their failure? But the thing that gets lost, it always gets lost. It never gets brought up in any of the conversations, is you're stuck with the lease that you're buying.
Yeah.
And, you know, you talk about it a little bit, but it never gets mentioned in any online forums or any of the other people who talk about the whole system.
That's brilliant.
Is okay. So you buy the place for $40,000 or whatever ridiculous amount you're giving them, and then you're stuck with a
40 is fantastic. That's the break point when they've already lost their lease. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you're going to then spend $3 a month plus cams.
There's
and you have no power at that point to renegotiate that. So this system's way better than any other system.
I'm being summoned to go to lunch, but first, that's Shelly Michelle. First, you're right. That's so deep and so intelligent. You buy a laundromat and you are stuck not only with the previous failed operator's lease, but also they've typically topped out. So these 5% or CPI increases are all stacked up over the last 10 years, while that doctor or lawyer or whatever he does in his regular life, this laundromat he's been running has been hemorrhaging money. And you're stuck, yes, as a buyer with that topped out, preposterous lease. And I'm telling you, dude, over and over, these people know that we are sharks. They know that we are on the side of right because they know that we're not buying a business from anyone. And that's why I have to grab Luciano by the collar and do this occasionally and say, whoa, 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 why are we doing this? And there's always, oh, I don't know, you like the street corner. There's 30,000 cars an hour driving by. No, it's not that. It's the fact that the infrastructure is there. And I also have to be careful not to say, why do I love this place? We don't. All this has been is some back and forth, some emails. Nobody's lost any blood, sweat, perhaps tears, but it's at the end of the day, she lied to me today, and that rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Good point. CC me and find Paul's email address and send it over. This shall continue. Anything else?
No. Thank you. Appreciate the work, and we'll get this.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for being here, kids. I have to go to lunch. Looking forward to it. Martin Gecko, lunch is for pussies. Get the course so you can end up like my friend Joe. 4 laundromats, LA County. All his leases are exquisite. I'm doing 93 cents. $1.30 is not bad. I will fight and fight and fight for you. If all these terms don't make sense, CPI, rent abatement, it's in my silly course. Anybody who's commenting on the live, thank you for that. Comment in the thread means a lot to me. And be selfish. You're probably subscribed to Cat Fancy and Mr. Beast and all kinds of weird stuff, but if you're into business, subscribe and hit the notification bell, because whenever I do these lives, I don't know when I'm going to do it. I'm supposed to be at lunch right now. I just plunk down in front of the computer and I hit the thing. I don't want you to miss it. Neither do you. Hit that pesky notification bell. Appreciate each and every one of you. Out.